All right, we're going to open this meeting of the process committee on the 30th of March of 2000 and whatever the year is, 21, I guess.
21.
And looks like Kyle is now in. Let's admit Kyle. And ding ding, Kyle is here. Okay, great.
There we go.
The first thing I want to do, oh, well, let's take the roll. We've got everybody here. Liz Lafferty, Bob O'Connell, Bill Apple, Patty Garcia, and Kyle Davies. We're all here, which is good. We always are. So I wanted to start off talking about the assignment, the subcommittees that we created last week and the assignments. I was worried, as I said in an email to Bill, that I may have miscommunicated what it was that, what it was that we were needing to do. I was asking Liz and Patty's subcommittee to take a look at the Earth Charter and to go through it and to find phrases and ideas which would fit into the Bill of Rights, specifically into the rights of nature, is what I was looking for. And I was asking the subcommittee with Kyle and Bill to do the same thing with the vision statement that we were supplied, the vision statement from the comprehensive plan. The idea, of course, being to mine it for language and or notions, ideas for the Bill of Rights, for specifically for the rights of nature portion. It didn't have anything to do with the preamble, okay? The
Right.
preamble was an assignment that I kind of gave myself, not that I'm going to write the preamble, but that I was the person that was working on what we're going to talk about. But while you guys were doing that, I was working on the preamble. What I did was I took the preamble that we had been talking about last week, and I tried to take all of your suggestions. Number one, cutting it short. I got it from 140 words down to 106 words, which is a lot to cut out, and kept it to just the 3 sentences. And I tried to keep some aspirational or inspirational language in there. I don't know whether I failed or I succeeded. I know Liz doesn't particularly like it. I know from an email that she sent me. And so what I would like to do today is I would like to talk about that first. And then I would like to move on to the subcommittees, what kind of reports that you guys have. I also want to talk about potential speakers. I know Kyle asked, I think it was Kyle asked specifically that we move that up in the agenda and talk about that early. So I think we'll talk about that right after we talk about the preamble. And then finally, I have, this is kind of new business, I suppose, a notion about how we ought to proceed with the Bill of Rights, having to do with, gathering source material in a kind of a little library that we would all have then to look through and get ideas from. So is that okay with everybody as an agenda?
Yes.
Now I've said this before and I want to say it again because it probably appears otherwise. Although I have been working on this preamble that you all have seen a new version of, I am not, wedded to that. We could tear this up and throw it away if that's what the group wants. If you all have something else in mind, but I do feel like we need to move on. We have a horrifyingly short period of time. Kyle is talking about wanting to wrap up committee work by the middle of April, which I believe gives us maybe 2 more meetings.
That's Randy. I mean, Kevin, not me.
I mean, Kevin, I'm sorry, not Kyle.
My dad was Kevin, and I get that all the time.
I saw the K in my brain. Yeah, Kevin wants to try to accomplish that. I'm beginning to worry about the possibility, not just of this committee, but of the possibility of the commission finishing its work, by the June date. It's starting to look more and more to me like we're a year-long commission. I don't particularly want it to be, but it's starting to look that way if we're going to do this thing right. And I personally, and maybe that's why I'm on this committee, I guess, I personally think that this Bill of Rights is the most important thing. I mean, there are many other important things that other people are working on, but this Bill of Rights is so important, and we can't just dash something out. And I can tell with you guys, we're not going to just dash something out. It's going to be thoughtful and have the right language. But the first part, here is what our tasks are. And they're picked originally from that, that list, that long list of 4 or 5 pages of people's ideas that were glomped together and then put under different committees. Well, we ended up with preamble, Bill of Rights, and the process of how the commission was going to go about getting input from the public. Okay. And that last one was kind of dealt with. We had the 2 town halls, and Kevin said that was all that he wanted for the time being. And so I think that particular issue is really not one that's going to take any more work by us. But we do have a big chunk with the preamble, and particularly with the Bill of Rights. I've never viewed the preamble as something huge as compared with the Bill of Rights, but it is, of course, important. Yes, Patty.
I have a little different opinion about that. I think our preamble is really important, because if we want to make something that's catchy but says what we want, I know the preamble that was there in the original charter is just to say, hey, here is a charter for home rule. That's cool. But if we wanted to make sort of a little vision statement, which is why I really liked Liz's email to you about reconsidering the preamble, because I think it's as important as the Bill of Rights, because I think it will get passed. I'm not sure if the Bill of Rights will, and we need to raise the issue. And the only reason Liz did do that about the preamble, even though we were to discuss the Bill of Rights, we did discuss the Bill of Rights, and we only mentioned the preamble in passing. Anyway, I think it's very important, and that we shouldn't think about trying to tie it up too fast either.
Okay, what do you think, Patty? I hear what you're saying, and it's all legit. What do you, what in your head do you have as how long it ought to take us to get this preamble done?
Well, I think we need to work on it more, but maybe just another week. But I think we do need to not rush it, and it's important.
Okay. Go ahead, Patty. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, if the commission ends up working beyond June, it doesn't mean we'll be working all year long. It just means that we won't get things in for this election process, or we'll get some, but we'll have more. So maybe that's not a bad thing either. But I don't think just because we don't tie it up sooner that we have to last all year long. Because that's good to know. Much.
That's good to know. Okay, did anybody other than myself like this preamble?
Now, can you show us what that preamble is? I mean, you said you shortened it, right? Have you?
Right, I showed it. I sent a copy to each of you. I sent the one that we had been working on last week, and then this new one. So you should have it.
Okay, I gotta find it because I don't remember that.
Should be in you. Did other people get it?
So, Bob, I
didn't answer to that problem. The question: did other people get this in the email?
When did you send it?
I think it was on
Sunday at 3.
Pardon me?
Sunday at 3:10 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay. so,
Actually, it's more like 2 o'clock in the morning. But yeah.
I've had the same problem. Things come in days late.
Oh dear. So you don't even have
well, I
it?
might have it, but it might because, they hide it into a trail once things start
Right.
happening. And so I've got to find the most recent message about that. And
If you want,
Sunday
with
at
your
3,
permission.
I found it. Okay, I found it.
Kyle,
So
could you put
process-
it? We did this
Uh,
last time, Kyle. You put it on. You put it up for us. And can you do that again?
So I have a document that says preamble
There it is.
2A.
No. See what's on the screen now?
Yeah, okay.
Yes, but
That's
I'd like to have, because I can't read that, Kyle. My eyes don't.
Oh,
So I'm looking at my emails. If you'll give me control of my screen again to
Yeah.
either send me that or,
Okay,
Resend it
so,
again. Bill, do you need it also? No.
let's see.
hopefully you don't need the old one to. I mean, I'm not hearing much
I'm
favor for
trying to
this, so I don't
find
want to spend a lot
mine
of time
too.
on it.
I've got process committee minutes and agenda here. That came in at Sunday at 3. And I've got
and I just want to say for any of us who are operating on the web-based Outlook, according to Olivia, who is my sanity check, it does very wonky things with emails. So if I look at an email, it then disappears it somewhere. So I've now started to I've just created a folder to copy and paste documents into. Anyway, so just a sanity check for everybody.
Yeah.
All we can do is do our best with that stuff. I don't have any problems with
Oh.
emails disappearing or whatever. But
Yeah,
Patty.
I got Bill's response to your preamble where he changed some things, and I know I pulled that out so I could read it better in Word. rather
Kyle,
than
did you
on
just
here.
send it to Patty as well? I did get it. Thank you.
Yeah, so I got his response, and I don't know if I have the original one, if I can find
well,
that.
Yeah.
While we're looking, have we approved the minutes?
Well, has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? It doesn't sound like you have, but
I did at
But-
one
I
point.
thought we'd get something done while we were searching,
sure.
Yeah,
Does anybody have any change to the minutes? Any changes?
I moved to be approved.
I second.
Thank you.
Any discussion? No, seeing no discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Okay.
Aye. Okay. The minutes are
Okay,
passed.
thanks.
All right. Now let's go back to trying to get this a preamble, which is dated now. It's got March 30th revision, which is today on there. And
The one I'm looking at does not say, it doesn't have a date on it, what Kyle just sent me. On
well, that's
the-
wrong. It's the wrong one then. It should look like this and have a date, right?
I think
Right
we
there.
need to start dating the document. You know,
Yeah, that's why I did that. That's
Yeah.
why I did that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no date, Kyle, on the one you sent me.
Well, then that would
The
be
bottom.
Down
Oh,
at
it
the
has
bottom,
March
when
30th at the bottom.
Bottom
I
left.
when I scroll
Well,
down,
sort of the bottom. It's right here.
Yeah, it's at the bottom.
yeah,
There
no,
it is.
I've zoomed in, I've zoomed out. There's no date on the bottom of the document I'm looking
Okay.
at.
There
Then
are
you're
two
look-
attachments.
There's 2
Pardon me?
attachments.
There are 2 attachments. just-
One is the longer one that
Okay.
we worked on last week and cut it up and everything. Then we all tasked me to try and make this look
Right.
more like what you were talking about. So that's what I tried to do. And I cut out a whole bunch of stuff and I said goodbye to the words and cut it down from 140 to 106 words.
We all
Um,
have copies. Yeah, there we are.
That's a larger copy of the document that is my final attempt at it. Okay. Let's just go over this briefly. And then if people like it, we can use it. If people don't like it, we can toss it out. If people like it, but want to change it, we can change it. Okay.
Bob, I have a question about
Certainly.
You mentioned
Certainly.
140 words.
Yes,
Are you assuming there's a word limit here?
No.
not at all. I was just giving you an idea. You all wanted a shorter document. So
Right,
I was just saying 106 words is shorter than 140 by like a third or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was what I was doing there. What I heard last week was has to be shorter, has to be succinct,
Kyle,
and to the point.
yes, sorry, Bob.
And as you can see, there are 3 sentences. One deals with why we are establishing the Home Rule Charter. The second deals with human beings and their rights in our county. And the third, which is about 60%, the third sentence deals with the rights of nature. And the reason that's so much longer is it's a new concept to some people, and they need to wrap their head around it. Now, what I have trouble doing is expressing all the things that are being suggested and at the same time following your dictate that it be short. Okay, Patty.
I was just gonna say, I now read it because I didn't read it before. I only read the one that Bill was responding to that, so I hadn't seen this
Yes.
one. And I
All
don't
right.
know why. So other than the little comment, or not the comments that that Bill had, rather using citizens rather than people because of the whatever, that the citizens are the ones that vote and the people don't necessarily, I guess. I like
Mhm.
it. I like it.
Well, good. Let me respond for just a second to the people and citizens thing. I totally get what Bill is saying, and the lawyer in me argues for the same thing. But there's something about the people and this being established for the people, not just for the people who vote. This is for everybody. And everybody in voting and not voting, having opinions, talking to each other, we all have gotten together and established this home charter. It is true that only people who voted for it, the citizens, actually made it happen. But is this a preamble of a charter for voters, or is it a preamble for a charter for everyone? Are we all making this, whether we're voters or not? I don't know. What do you guys think? Bill?
Bob, I had a number of comments, but I think there's a fundamental thing. First place, I like its style. I think there's nothing wrong with where it's going. But I think we have an organizational issue here. You list some rights, and you list the rights of nature. I'm assuming first, once you list the rights, I assume somewhere there's going to be a section that's going to list all the rights, and the first mention of rights is kind of a teaser. This is the problem with this kind of a provision, where you don't want to have 2 sections on rights, but when you specifically list rights, are those the rights? No, it turns out there are more further down in the document. That's why preambles are usually so short, because what they're really discussing is in it further down.
What rights are you referring to that are listed here, Bill?
Well, I'm looking at, let's start out. All persons within our county shall be equal under the law and shall be afforded the equal protection of those laws. Now, those are rights. They are fundamental rights. Somewhere else, further down, we're going to say them again. And so the question is, what I got from this is, maybe what we could do is not have a long recipe list of rights, of all the rights we could think of. We could put them in here saying, these are the rights that we have, that we are embodying in this document.
Don't put them in the preamble, are you saying? Put all those rights in the preamble?
This is the problem when the preamble gets into the subject matter. This is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare to me.
Another
preamble
example is rights of nature. Now, I'm all for it. I think we all have different ideas of it. And so it's going to have to be defined. You'll notice that our existing charter has a definition section further down at the end, and it defines what you mean, because what has really happened in my observation, having been through the previous CRC and drafting documents for 60 years, is that people get kind of an exalted view of their power of creation. The views of many, I think, of the CRC are beyond what the law allows. That's why Randy told us the 1,000 Friends of Washington. We cannot create a vision, as an example, that isn't absolutely consistent with the COM plan, because the COM plan is exclusive, and that 1,000 Friends case makes it clear. So we can't go beyond where we already are under state law. We don't have the exalted powers when people talk about this is our Constitution. Well, it's closer to a student model UN. It's a machine, it's a device, but it isn't as high as people think it is. And so I think what we're doing is we're kind of describe concepts that are frankly nebulous when you talk about rights of nature, unless they're defined. As you saw from what I wrote in my 5-page peroration, for which I apologized, you're not really talking about the rights of nature. You're talking about restricting the rights of man. Nature does better without man. And so the more man holds back, the better nature does. And so I'm just thinking of, well, when we talk about the rights of nature affirmatively, we're going to have to define it. And if you use it in defined term, just be prepared. We've got to meet our maker further down in the document. There are other issues, but they're not as important. But one thing our charter does not do is to create rights that are beyond our power to create. And our power to create rights is very limited. What we can do is to push the council. And I've been making a list of ordinances we want to push the council into making, because the charter provides for that. But that's it. And so are we going to put some rights here and more rights in later?
Let me respond, Bill. First of all, I don't believe we are creating any rights. I believe we're recognizing rights that exist that we haven't recognized before and are very important for us to recognize. Secondly, it sounds a little bit like we're conflating the job of the preamble with the job of the Bill of Rights.
That's right.
We are going to list the rights in the Bill of Rights. We're going to define what the rights are, and we're going to be specific as to what we think that they are. At least that's my opinion of what we do there. This preamble is just aspirational. This preamble is kind of telling us and telling the world what we intend to do down in the Bill of Rights. So, I mean, does everybody buy that idea? Patty?
Well, for one thing, the Bill of Rights may or may not be accepted. And this is separate from the Bill of Rights. I'm wondering if we can say, we recognize, say, the importance of nature, or the fact that nature is so important in our lives and it has to be there, rather than saying the rights of nature, because that implies something different. But we recognize that nature is part of our world. I mean, this is a statement of how important it is.
That makes sense.
And I don't really
Patty,
like rights.
If the group wants to strike anything about rights in here, we could go in that sentence. We could go to, we recognize, and then skip down to we recognize our moral and necessary obligation to protect, and just take
There
off
we
from there.
go.
That gets rid of all of the rights. One advantage to that, Patty, is that if this gets passed and our Bill of Rights doesn't, we don't have a Bill of Rights for some reason, which is almost inconceivable to me. But if that happens, then this can still stand, because we haven't made reference to the rights of nature. Okay, so we recognize our moral and necessary obligation, and then it would go from there. to ourselves and to our children and to nature
So-
itself. Although we
so
can take
Bob-
that out too, if you like. What? Yes.
So I just want to say, let's see, how do I want to phrase this? So for me, I have not been able to be as available to this process as my passion for it would dictate. So I've now made significant changes in my life to allow me to be more available to the whole commission and this process. So this is a historic document and I would like time to work on it. So I don't ever think wordsmithing in a committee always seems very challenging to me. So that's why I put together that document of my thoughts. Bill, I'm trying to wrap my head around your perspective on it to have that influence the writing I do. But I'm just requesting time to work on it, and I'm happy to do it as a group, but it seems like it would take a lot of time to do that.
Well, of course, we have spent a lot of time on this.
So
Let
Bob,
me ask Patty.
Bob,
Yes.
please hear me. I have
hearing
not
you.
spent a lot of time on this.
Right.
I understand that you've invested a
Right,
lot of
right,
time,
Right.
and
right,
it
right.
matters to me.
Mm-hmm.
This document is a historic document at an unprecedented time in humanity's future. And
No doubt
I
about
think
it.
it matters, and I want time to be able to work with what you've already created and see if I can contribute. And if
Mm-hmm.
not, there's a lot to begin with here, but I don't think spending time assuming we can get there today is a good use of our time.
I have a suggestion.
Liz, I'd like
Yes.
to I'd like to state that me not agreeing with you doesn't mean I don't hear you. Okay, I hear everything that you're saying, understand it, and I think we probably do need to make some adjustment to the fact that you have not, as you said yourself, been with us on this up to this point, but now you are. What was your suggestion, Bill?
My suggestion is, I respect the problem, and I think this is a very large issue we're dealing with. It is not something. This is a pandemic issue. We haven't had the time to sit down and really grind through, which would result in very long meetings. I suggest we call a special meeting toward the end of the week, say Thursday, and go over some of this stuff. I think, Bob, this is, for all my carping, it's a good job. I would probably replace our children and their children with our descendants, but it's
Do it, Kyle.
very yeah, it's very workable. I also hear Liz's problem is this is historic. One of the problems with you're dealing with something that is this new is coming up with a way to describe what it is you're talking about. And my complaint, and you've heard it long and loud, is that this is very hard to verbalize. People sound more and more like Southern California saying, and we all think we understand, but actually putting it in the English language is very hard work. And we need to think about it.
Bill, that was my point in drafting that email I spent of framing some of the thoughts. And for me, and I do apologize and take responsibility for interrupting a process that I wasn't able to fully engage in. So my apology to the committee, for that. But from my perspective, we've been treating this document as if it was a relatively easy task to write, when in fact, just what Bill, you've said, is it's the furthest from that. And what makes it more challenging is attempting to introduce new language, new belief systems, new concepts in a short document. So that's
Okay.
why I would just like time. And I don't know, between now and Thursday, if we want to meet on Thursday, because like you all, I have a bunch of Zoom meetings. If we looked at Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or next Monday, I will have had time and will spend a lot of time wordsmithing and, sending off And Bob, I do want to recognize that you've given us, it's always a heroic act to give a group a starting point. Because it does become, and I've done it lots of times like you, it gives people something to throw darts at, but there's no disrespect intended. It's
Of course
that-
not.
Yeah. So, so yes, I would be all in favor of a special meeting just on this with a larger bit of time. I don't know that I can be prepared by Thursday.
Okay, how about this weekend? I can't, I have a eye appointment in Anacortes on Thursday anyway.
Yeah, I think Saturday, let me check with my partner, but I think I could do Saturday. Kyle.
Let me
Patty is
holler at Sean.
I go to the, I have a 9 o'clock meeting on Saturday, and then I go to the farmer's market, but in the afternoon is great. Anytime in the afternoon. Liz,
I was just checking in with my partner when she's working on the weekend.
okay, yeah.
What about the other two, Bill and Kyle? Can you do that? Can we have a preamble meeting on Saturday? I'm checking, my wife is checking our calendar.
I don't have an issue with Saturday in my schedule, and I appreciate the concept of a work session. I feel a little differently here. I mean, think overall, I would like us, for whatever time we continue forward, to figure out how to make each week measurable. So
What does that mean, Kyle?
well, however we move forward, I think setting some goals
Mhm.
each time, and there is, I appreciate that there's a degree of this is a special piece of a special document, but I know also what it's like to do all the generating and try and hear people meeting to meeting and make those changes and think that you're in that zone, and then we keep going with something. If we have three distinct pieces: preamble, Bill of Rights, and a check-in on what's good and what's not good, that's potentially a giant piece of work by itself. The
Oh,
Bill of
yes.
Rights, I think, is going to be fairly straightforward, just looking through it, and I'd like to share that sometime in the meeting. But these meetings are our work time also. So somewhere today, I'd love to have some sense of where we, April 5th, our meeting needs to accomplish X, whether we
Mhm.
get there or not.
Of course, we did have such a thing. Last week, on March 23rd, the goal was to do the preamble. Then we switched it to March 30th. The goal was to do the preamble. So it's not like we're wandering in the desert goalless. It's just that the goalposts keep moving, which is okay. They move because they have to, right? Because they should, and things aren't ready. So that's what we discover. But you're certainly right, Kyle. We certainly need to nail down some goals and say, this is going to happen now. I am all for that. What should our goal be regarding the preamble? You guys tell me. It's got
I just want to say one other thing. Go ahead, Patty. I'll jump in there.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if we do have this meeting this weekend, then our goal for next Monday could be establishing a preamble. We just need to be able to work on it at least that much more time.
Bill.
Well, what's happening here is that this preamble is like the first mood of Slaughter on Fifth Avenue. If you remember that, how that note goes up. It sets the mood, it sets the tone, it sets the intention. Now, this isn't like a lot of preambles where it says we hereby adopt the following. We've deliberately enlarged the bite that we're taking. And I guess the question I have of Liz is, if we meet on Saturday, Liz, does that give you time?
Yes, because I have a pretty open slate on Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
So I will begin working, and hopefully I'm thinking, and I'm happy to send it in process to the whole group. But Bill, I was thinking more about, working with you, because you and I have a very different mindset. And I get that it's got to get beyond, it's got to be in
Yeah.
harmony with your mindset. So what I'd like to do is write one, send it off to you, and then have something ready for Saturday And I'm available afternoon on Saturday, so.
That's
but-
great. That's
but I-
great.
I-
So, go ahead.
Sorry.
Here's a suggestion. On the preamble, Bob has been a one-man committee, one-person committee.
Yes,
Subcommittee.
How about if it expands to you, Liz, and me? Because it's important that we exchange documents, not wait till the end and then everything falls apart.
right, yes.
That's one of the reasons why I've been sharing my thoughts. So impertinently, I acknowledge that. And I know that I got Bob's goat and he has every reason to feel that way. And I do apologize. But I'm used to working in teams. I usually work with opposing counsel. So Liz, you and I will do fine. And I mean, I think if this is going to be more than adoption, but to set that first note in American in Paris or Slaughter on Fifth Avenue, then that is going to be a work of art, and it's going to take attention. So I don't mean to exclude anybody else, but I think people with different views definitely need to be talking.
And I so respect, Bill, what you're saying, because that conveys what I was trying to say, that this preamble sets a new tone for hopefully a new future. And it has to let people know why we're introducing some pretty major changes in the charter as a whole. That this is not business as usual. This is not an everyday review of the charter. This is the review of a home rule charter at a point when collapse is occurring
Yeah,
at an alarming rate.
that's
And so the preamble needs a note of hope, and it needs a kick in the face of why we have to do what we're doing for people who think we should leave the charter as it is.
This is very interesting. As you draft this, please keep in mind what you all told me last week, which was that 140 words was too long. Okay, keep that in mind, please. Keep it in mind.
Yeah.
because I think I'm completely open to us looking at this product, another product, and the next product, and then working on it. But by this meeting Saturday, we have to have all of those products in front of us. We can't be talking about what it ought to mean. Okay, Patty.
I wasn't necessarily saying that 140 words was too long. I just was saying our run-on sentences didn't really say it concisely. And what you've done was shorten it, which is good because brevity is good. But we do want to be able to say what
The
we
soul
want to
of
be
wit.
able to say. It's not necessarily the length, it's how you say it.
I guess I need to ask though, if Patty and Kyle, if this is okay with them, because
It's okay with me.
okay.
I'm okay not being
Okay.
part of it. I think my challenge to whoever works on it is I'm writing some notes now that I'm not sharing the screen. I think I'm hearing go ahead, Bill.
I want to say something about writing, which I have learned in spades. I think we could do it in 140 words. That's really not the point. Usually people write, and then when they realize they didn't say something right, they add words. And then when they realize that isn't quite right, they add some more words. In my experience over the last 6 years, I wrote this novel. It was 403 pages. And I've had it reviewed a number of times. And each time I found that I could make it better by shortening it, by making it punchy, by saying clearly what I said, instead of trying to keep adding clay to the sculpture, which ended up with a big lump. This is a work of art that we're talking about. This is not simple stuff
Yes.
and can't be cured by Band-Aids. So I'm looking forward to this.
Bill, can I
Okay.
respond?
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So one
Yes.
of my many jobs over the years is to been hired as an editor for people writing books for the express purpose of what I refer to as lazy writing, of
Yeah,
when they're asking
that's
the
right.
reader to do their work and muddle through their thought process. And so I'm totally on board of us being very disciplined, reaching as deep as we can
Yes,
to create what Bill referred to as the note, the tone for our counties moving forward. And Kyle, I just feel like I need to apologize to you one more time, and then I'm not apologizing anymore. I do feel badly because I feel like I definitely contributed to sabotaging or not helping this committee be as effective as it should, especially given how passionate I'm about it. So health issues and overwhelm had me out of the game. That's been cleaned up, and I'm excited to be here and fully on board. So I apologize for the
That's
for
that's
not
great. That's
recogni-
great, Liz. That's
Yeah.
great, Liz. So if I'm understanding correctly, Saturday we're going to have a meeting, and we'll set the time in just a bit. But at that meeting, we will continue to discuss the document that I brought up, because I haven't heard a majority yet say that it's a no-go on it. But we will also look at least one other document, which will be a preamble, proposed preamble that, Liz, that you're drafting with Bill's help, or Bill's drafting with your help. We'll have that in front of us also. Will other people be proposing specific other
So Bob-
amendments? Yes.
Bob,
go
what
ahead.
I'm hearing
Pat-
Bill say is that
Patty's got her hand up, Liz. Patty.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Patty.
I thought maybe Saturday's meeting would have you, Liz, and Bill working in before then to come up with something that then the five of us can discuss on Saturday. That was my understanding, that maybe you guys could get together email wise or however you do it, and that we could do it on Saturday. And I see them two saying yes and you saying no.
Well, I have neither been invited to be on their subcommittee, nor, which they've created by themselves, nor do I have any, I got to say this right, particular interest in horning in on what they're doing, because they have a specific vision. I've thought dozens of hours about what ought to go in here, and came up with what I thought ought to go in here. That doesn't mean I'm right. It just means these are my thoughts. I've already mined them. I'm well ready to when their product comes before us, to work on it with the rest of the four of you to come up with something. Is anyone else planning on coming up with a specific document that is a proposed preamble? Either Kyle or Patty? If not, then you two are. So we'll have at least two in front of us, and we can talk back and forth and say, oh, that one looks good. Let's put our energies with that. Or this one looks better. Let's put our energies with that. Yes, Liz.
I think maybe Bill and I are raising our hand for the same reason, is that I heard Bill suggest, that we invited you into, then there was the three of us, that we would exchange documents, maybe even meet before the Saturday meeting in preparation for a shared document for Saturday's meeting. And so Bill.
You mean that the three of us as a subcommittee would come up with one document, not the one I already have?
you're Bob, if Liz and I can't agree, you're going to get two. That's the reality. The other thing is, I don't feel formal. Well, that's because you're invited. A couple of things. First, Liz has made me feel better because I thought I was the big bad guy pushing stuff out. And so you've made me feel immensely better. But the second is, no committee should feel formally limited to its drafts, its communications, or its opinions. That's the whole point. And I think that somebody can come up with an idea, exchange it with the group. It's just, I can't even say it on the air. This email system that is absolutely foul. As I say, it takes 2 days for me to get stuff. So I think one of the things we probably should do is to exchange phone numbers, because we can talk to each other. We're a small enough group and we don't have to Zoom while these drafts are flying around. There should be no limitations on our thinking, on our opinions. And if we have 3 drafts coming out of the same person a day because they got a third thought, that's, as far as I'm concerned, in my experience as a lawyer, that's a low number. So I say let's go with it.
Now, I did ask people for suggested dates, and what we came up with through Patty's suggestion was that we were going to try with a separate meeting between now and Monday. We're going to work. And then on Monday, at our next meeting, no, it's Tuesday, our next meeting, we would attempt to adopt the preamble. Is that what you said, Patty? What do other people think
believe
about that?
so.
Pardon? What did you say, Patty? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Kyle was responding to that.
Oh, Kyle.
After today's conversation, I would kind of guard against setting up a deadline. I kind of anticipate where it's going to go. I think just the notion of making this a work of art, I trust the group, I trust the subcommittee to come up with something that works for everybody. What I would say is go into it with maybe in addition to, or instead of having like your own version that you have to then try and blend, deciding what I just wrote on the other screen. What do we want to say? How do we want to say it? What are the kickers that people keep mentioning? And what's the combination? Do we need, who, how, what, where, when? Some of that we don't need, but some of that is more important, like what words you choose. And so I would just say, maybe give some thought this week before Saturday, make Saturday a work session where you take language that's important to you, or whether it's our children's children or it's future generations, and then build something to talk about on Monday together. And maybe that means bringing your own version and figuring out what you can drop and blend. But the way Liz puts it, which I really like, is it is, if we reach really deeply to be as expressive as this group wants to be, choosing the words is going to be a really big, dozens of hours is how you put it, Bob. I believe it. And
Yes.
if the group is going to do that then together, it's going to be a lengthy process. And I somewhere in the meeting today, I do think we have to acknowledge, if we want to get to those other pieces, we either have to compartmentalize meetings or make meetings work sessions on topic. So maybe cover only one piece and do preamble till it's done, or do preamble every meeting for half the meeting until it's done. Something like that. That's my, as I listen to people, I think it needs that level of attention.
Do you all think we should have a schedule for this?
Like deadlines to schedule?
Well, it doesn't a schedule for producing a document suggest a finishing point or a deadline, which is next to a date, which is what a schedule is. I'm just trying to get this thing done. See, I'm the chairman, and people are a month from now, people are going to say, "You're still talking about the preamble? What is the matter with you?" I can't. Yes, Patty.
I think we've all discovered in this process that everything is taking longer than it should. Some committees are coming up with stuff. I'm not quite sure how.
Yeah.
But yeah, because these are all important issues and they can't be just done like that. And if it does take us longer, then it takes us longer. It's good to have goals, but we also must understand that it's island time here. And sometimes things do get reconsidered and put a little farther into the future. It's best to have goals, but we don't have to keep them. That's me.
If you all want to set June 1st as the goal that we're going to have this preamble done, we can do that. And I'm not trying to be, we can set 3 weeks from today. I do worry that if we are not done with our work, basically in 2 or 3 weeks, that's when they want to shut the committees down and move to more time with the commission itself. Patty,
Can we set our meeting on Saturday, which will be a work session? It's possible we may end up with a preamble. We don't know. Can we set
okay,
that?
how much time do you all want to spend on it? How much time are you all willing to spend on it? Do you think it's an appropriate
Is
amount of time?
Kyle trying to say something here? I'm looking at his chat.
He's muted. Oh, Chad, okay.
Bob, I have this suggestion, and I think some of us have talked to Kevin. I personally, anybody who's read Parkinson's Law says the job takes as long as the time is available. And I worry about that, but I don't think we're going to be done by June. I'm just telling you, because this is a very difficult job. This is a paradigm shift. And this is not a simple legal document. It has to be very subtle. And my feeling is if it takes us till the end of the year, it takes us till the end of the year. You can either meet the deadline that you set for yourself in June, or you can do the job right. In a job like this, I'm in the second category. And my feeling is until we fall in love with what we've done, we're not done.
I got you. So here's my next challenge. Ought we to, so they can prepare for this, ought we to tell Kevin at the meeting tomorrow that we believe that our task of writing the preamble and the Bill of Rights cannot be completed in time for the November ballot, and that we ought to just.
We don't have, Bob, we don't have to say that. We may
Okay.
get it done, we may not. I'm just saying that the quality determines how long we take. We don't say it'll be done by August 30. We can't do that. That's not how a work of art works.
Yes, Liz.
And I do think that we are all feeling the pressure from the events in life itself. So for me, this is not something I will dilly-dally and dabble at. So the urgency lives within each of us to get this done. And what Bill is saying, it also needs to be done well. So I like what Kyle, going back to what Kyle said about let's separate this out, put the lion's share of the work on the preamble into the subcommittee, and we move as effectively forward as we can. And then this group can get other things done that we can report back to the whole commission.
You said put the lion's share of the work into the preamble.
If the three of us, Bill, Bob, and myself, become a subcommittee to work on the preamble, because as Bill said, you have been a subcommittee unto yourself. So if the three of us move into subcommittee on working on the preamble, then we can begin to exchange documents between each other, meet by phone. We can even have Saturday session just be the three of us and move this document forward. We're not going to know how quickly we get there until we're there. So that's my suggestion to try and be concrete here, is that the three of us form the subcommittee to work on the preamble, and we set Saturday, we begin to exchange documents between now and Saturday, and we set Saturday as a working meeting for the three of us. And then we hopefully have something to present to the rest of this committee on Tuesday. That seems more realistic than having all five of us get together on Saturday with some sort of finished document.
Patty, you had your hand up.
I was just saying, I'm in agreement with that, because when you have all five of us working on it, of course, you're going to get almost an unmanageable thing. I do know that Kevin and I will want to be there for the final thing. But it's, yeah, I'm willing myself to leave it up to you three, as long as I have a chance to put my 2 cents worth in at the end.
I'd like-
all the work
I would
you've
like to
done.
suggest, thank you, Patty. I would like to suggest to Liz and Bill that either Patty or Kyle join you to make the third person. The reason I'm suggesting that is because I have done a whole lot of work in arriving at a certain place. And now I would be going over here and doing something different. And that's,
Yeah,
what? Who said that?
That is the idea. It's to meld what you've done and what you've worked so hard on with the three, with the two others that have different, otherwise we'll end up looking at what you've done and what they've done, which is where we are right now, sort of.
No one
So
else
I
has
think
done
it's
anything.
important for
We
you
don't
to
have
be
any
part
other-
of it.
Okay. Part of my frustration is that we don't have another preamble in front of us, which we could do the work. Now, Liz and Bill are saying, let's produce one. But what I'm hearing you say, and maybe now the whole committee is, let's take Bob's and let's just come out with one. And then ask the two of you if you agree with it. Yes.
Bob, I think it may be both.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that it
what-
may be, and the reason for me wanting you involved is that very thing of trying to keep us closer to the same final product out of this whole group. So I'm happy to just work with Bill, but my preference would be the three of us. And I respect that if you've, put in the work you've put in, and it's like, okay, you guys do something now. I respect that also. But the invitation is open to join Bill and I to work on the preamble further. That was Bill's going in idea, is that you join us.
I have a suggestion, Bob. You're on other committees. I'm not on any other committee. I'm a tourist. I'm writing a novel, which keeps me busy also. But what I think Liz and I could do, if it's okay with everybody, is to put something together, but we will send copies to Bob. Bob, something may quirk you. You may have a comment. You are a member by invitation. You are not required to participate or to produce. But I would like to know that your gentle eyes have seen it. It would give me comfort, because I want to make sure that if you feel that we're getting off base, you be the one to tell us. That would help us.
That I'd be happy to do it that way.
Okay.
I would.
Okay.
I'd be happy
yeah.
to do it that way. And that may result in us coming before all five of the whole committee here with one document. It may result in coming before the committee with two documents. But at the end of that full committee process, of course, we will have one document. It may or may not be unanimously supported. Hopefully it will be.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will be, but it's
Well,
not
Liz and
necessary.
I don't need to Zoom. We could just write to each other. We can talk by phone, but I don't know that we need a Zoom.
Okay, that's okay with me. I don't need to look at mostly my misshapen face all day,
Okay.
Not really into it. You other beautiful people, it's nice to see you, but your voices, I can conjure up what you look like on the telephone. You'll look even better if I do that, by the way. Yes, Patty.
Are you talking about your work meetings, your future work meetings before next Tuesday? I mean, we'll have a Zoom meeting on Tuesday.
Oh, yes. I think that Bill is just talking about his work with Liz, and then eventually they're coming to me and saying, here's what we came up with. What do you think? And then me doing whatever tweaking they want me to do or whatever, so that in the end there is something like a document. And it may be, I mean, they have my document. They may use some of that or all of it. They may put ornaments on it like a Christmas tree. They may throw the Christmas tree out and put up a menorah. I don't know how it's going to end up, but we will.
Liz hasn't
we'll
seen
see.
my over lawyerly drafts, which I'll try out on her and give her time to cool off, and then I'll hear her response.
Liz, the reason that people, the reason that this is what I've always heard, Bill may not agree with this, but the reason that lawyers put in their orders for the judge to sign, it is hereby ordered, adjudged, and decreed, and you could just say it's ordered, is because they used to be paid by the word.
Oh,
Hundreds of years ago, they were paid by the word. So you say everything 3 times, you know. I like what Bill says about writing, and I'm a writer, you know, and I'm a playwright, and I write short stories and stuff. And I, you know, totally agree. It's all about saying it in little short Hemingway-esque words, you know, or sentences. You know, that's. I mean, you read Faulkner. I'm lost. You know, you don't get lost with Hemingway. And that's the way it ought to be, because this is a document for the people, not for, it's not really for us. It's for the people, and they all should be able to read it. You know, I think that you have to address, and it doesn't have to be the way that I did, but you have to address 3 things. You have to address the fact that you're adopting a whole charter and why you're doing it, which is because they let us do it. They let us take home rule home and have a more democratic government. That's why we're doing it. Then the charter itself goes into detail about that. Then the second thing you have to do is you have to talk about, you don't have to, I mean, this is my idea of it, that you have to say something about the rights of human beings, and that you're going to be talking about that later. And then you have to say something about nature and how you figure. I mean, I was thinking the rights of nature, but that's kind of been tossed out. So you have to say something about the relationship of human beings with nature, and you have to have sustainability and all of that. So those are the 3 things, I think. And I think we have agreed that a goal is for it to be what Liz called succinct, short, relatively short. I mean, you don't find preambles that are 10 pages long. And if you do, they're a waste of time, because a preamble, you're supposed to be able to pick a preamble up, read it. Oh, you know, and then read the document. That's why I've always, and maybe I'm kind of a little bit freaking out about our lack of progress on a preamble, because I've always viewed it as, okay, we do the, not that it's not important. I don't mean it's not important, but okay, we do the preamble here, like this, we do the preamble, and then we do the Bill of Rights, which is out here, you know, gigantic. So yeah, Bill.
I'd like to hear about the Earth Charter, where that is, because
Okay, well, before we do that, have we nailed down the Saturday thing? Are we not going to do it now, or is it going to be by telephone, and that's when I come in, or what, Liz?
so I was just going to say Saturday at 2:00, and just a starting point. Is that good for folks? Saturday at 3, Saturday at 2.
Who are we talking about? The 2 of you?
So I would think,
The 5 of us? I've lost track.
yeah. So to me, that's a tighter working meeting still. So for me, it's the 3 of us.
The 3
That
of us.
between now and Saturday,
Yeah.
Bill and I have gotten to a point where then
Ah.
to include you with the hours and hours of work that you've put in.
You'll have something like a paragraph or something that looks like a preamble.
Yeah, and
Rough. And
it will be a 1 paragraph, or if we don't agree, 2 paragraphs, but it won't be any longer than 2 paragraphs.
right.
2 o'clock is fine. By telephone, you say. Does one of you have the facility to set up a telephone conference?
And,
I
and,
don't.
and I'm happy to Zoom. Is there a reason not to Zoom? It's,
Oh, we can Zoom.
yeah, it's an easy way to connect.
Okay.
So,
What do we do? Do we just use this number, this Zoom number
Sure.
again? As
Yeah.
long as it's not being used at
Long as
that
it's not
time.
being used.
So we have to make sure, I'll check to make sure it's not being used at 2. And
Well,
if
we
it
can
is,
fix that tomorrow and clear the way.
that's what we can do. Now, to put in our heads, how long are we talking about probably working? I mean, we could say till it's done, but
Well,
what do you?
You know, Bob, all I think you have to do is to get our report from us. You'll get a sense of whether we're close or not, and just pat us on the butt and send us on our way, and we'll meet Tuesday. It'll be all right.
Listen to him. Okay.
I really think it'll be all right.
All right. So we're going to meet by Zoom at 2:00. Yes. Kyle.
Sorry, I love that plan. I need to run on a call. I'd sent everybody the stripped comp plan vision for Bill of Rights if you wanted to look at it with time today.
You sent it to us where, Kyle? By email or how?
To email just very, very, very recently. So I was
Okay.
going to share it on screen. If I can come back, I'll come back. as soon as
Okay.
possible.
Okay.
Sorry,
Because
group.
that was the next thing. Okay. All right. Well,
thank you.
Thank you.
Kyle. Yes, Kyle. So we are going to meet by Zoom.
Yes.
We'll check tomorrow to make sure that no one else is meeting during those hours. And if not, I will just set up a Zoom meeting. I may need to talk to Olivia about it because I know how to do it when there's a skeleton background set up. I know how to get in it and set it up. But when there's no meeting planned, I don't know exactly, but I can figure it out. I'll take that responsibility. Yes, Patty.
I was going to say maybe Catherine is the one to do that. But I don't know whether this little subcommittee needs to be, word of it sent out because they have those public meeting things where you're supposed to be able to.
No, this isn't going to be like that. This is just us getting
So
together
this
and
is just
talking.
3 people talking. Okay.
I'll see if that's doable. If it's not doable, we'll have to figure something else out. But as of right now, save the time from 2:00 for several hours, I guess. Who
Okay.
knows how long it's going to take.
And
Yeah.
I'm totally open if it needs to be an open meeting with the public in the background listening in. I have no problem with that. It just won't be a participatory meeting.
It's just that they
Penny.
need to announce that a certain amount of time ahead.
Oh, got it.
That
Got
was
it, got it. So, no,
Yes, Patty. I mean, Liz.
I started to say, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
So somebody who understands procedure better than me would answer that.
Okay, now when we meet on Saturday, this is just going to be a meeting. Would one of you like to chair the meeting since it was your idea? I would love to not chair the meeting.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
I think,
I'll do it if I must, but I'd love to not do it.
my sense is it'll be much more informal than that, that it's going to be the 3 of us as passionate writers, people passionate about our community and the future, drilling down to, how we feel about the words we've found so far.
It's just a work
that-
session. It's not a meeting.
Yeah. Are you comfortable with that, Bob?
Sure, we'll try it.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the lawyer in me. If there's not somebody saying, okay, let's do this now, or it's your turn to talk, or, we could have what was it, the talking stick? I don't know how you
Yes.
pass that around at a Zoom meeting. Pass it over like this.
Yeah. And I do feel like Bob, I gave Kyle a direct apology, and I want to do the same with you because I really did not assess my medical health and my overwhelm well, and I apologize that it does not respect the work you've put into this. and I didn't voice my thoughts well early. So I apologize directly to you for what must feel like having the rug pulled out, like we're moving this way, and all of a sudden somebody's saying, "Hey, wait, I've joined the wagon at this point." So I mean no disrespect for the work that you've done, and I apologize I couldn't participate more effectively earlier on.
I think that,
Well, that's, go ahead, Bill.
I think, Bob, all you need to do is to start the meeting and go off and have lunch or a snack. Just light the fuse. And when you come back and both screens are blank, turn it off.
If my screen's all bloody and, okay, well, we'll get together at 2:00 on Saturday if I can figure out how. That's the goal. Please,
Okay.
everybody, remember to be there. And then we will bring something to the other two on Tuesday. Hopefully, we will.
Yeah,
And all the stuff is true about, well, we won't do it faster than is required to get a good document and all of that. At the same time, the other thing going on is time. It's ticking. The hourglass has been turned upside down, and when all the sand runs through, so we still have a goal, I believe, of the November ballot. That's still the goal, everybody's goal, and everything that they're doing. It becomes more and more iffy, if you ask me. And one of the things that will take a long time ought not to be the preamble, but the Bill of Rights could take a long time. I might be mistaken. Maybe the things are all right there. The other thing, by the way, before we get on to these two subcommittees, the other thing I wanted to suggest, see how you all feel about this, is that we, for the purpose of writing the Bill of Rights, not the preamble, but for the purpose of writing the Bill of Rights, specifically, I don't think we'll need a lot of reference stuff to figure out the part about human beings. If we're going to do human beings and nature, which we've talked about all along, my idea is to compile a library, a common library, 4 or 5 documents I bring that I've found, and Liz 8 or 9 documents that she's found, and maybe some of them are the same, until eventually we have these 15, 20 documents that are in our library that are other bills of rights from Pittsburgh or wherever, different ideas, phrases, and ideas and notions, and that we compile that you guys find them, send them to the other 4 of us, each of you, so that we have a library that we then take a week and read every word in the library. Maybe it might take more than that. Yeah, Patty.
I'm not going to be able to do that.
Okay.
I know my limitations, and I've been reading a lot, and I'm not going to, I think with this Bill of Rights, I'm willing to look at a whole heck of a lot of stuff. I cannot promise to read everything in a library that you guys might assemble, and I'm not really sure whether I will be actively part of that assembling. I think there's enough out there for us to work with that will be a Bill of Rights that is acceptable from the information the public has given us and from other places which will, which legally can do bills of rights. And we're trying to make ours legal for the state of Washington. I'm just not going to promise that much effort when I know I will fail.
Patty, that is so useful. Thank you. That is so helpful to know up front what you have the time and abilities to do now during this period of time. That way we won't be thinking, okay, now Patty's going to come up with 6 more or whatever, or that Patty's going to read all of this. I know you're going to do what you can. I have no doubt that you're going to do what you can to get this job done. So what about you guys, bad idea or good idea? Bill?
if you look at the First and 14th Amendments to the Constitution, they are not passionate, they are succinct. People get passionate about it, and when they write about it, they have very broad language. But when you read the law, it's very specific. Nobody can miss the point. And I think it's very important that we have to seek clarity. We can sneak the passion in, but quite often the passion is saying it will happen. It needs to be something that says we mean it, but it's not. We don't need to speak in 18th century language. Although that's what we all learned when we learned these topics. This really is going to be a new document. We need to shift our own paradigm with this one.
So what are you saying about my suggestion, Bill? Do we or do we not need to?
I don't think we need a library. I think, first place, the rights already exist. The only thing we could do is to recite rights that already exist. If we're going to talk about them, and I don't remember if I sent it to you, Bob, because I sent you a draft preamble and the beginnings of rights of nature and rights of humans. But it was pretty short. It started out short because you got to remember that the minute you talk about somebody's rights, you're talking about somebody's withdrawn. The
Sure,
rights
of
of
course,
nature
yeah.
are all
Right,
withdrawal of man's rights.
right. Liz, what do you think about the idea? So far, we got two no's.
I'm sorry. Bill blows my mind.
Okay, the idea that we were talking about was assembling a library of kind of references like you might put in the library,
Right.
the what the Bill of Rights is for Schenectady, for Bill of Rights for nature, or the Lake Erie, which is not in existence anymore, or some short treatise that lists what Bill of Rights, what the rights of nature ought to be, what we ought to recognize. Those things. In other words, source materials that we will use to study and inform our writing of
So
the
I
nature. part.
land squarely between those two things, that I think we need some source material, but that we just each bring the best of, what we see out there to the game. So we're talking, 3 to 7 documents kind of thing to reference and go, well, look at, here's how this one does it, but here's how this one really winnows it down and does it. So I say we bring the best of the
Yeah.
best, 7. And then I'm with Bill from the standpoint of, this is a new document. This is a new time. It needs new language. So
Okay.
yes,
Well, it sounds like I really am talking about my own deficiencies, because I do not feel like I am anywhere near up to snuff. If you ask me right now to write down what the rights of nature ought to be, I would want to look at something else. Because I am only recently, I'm a recent convert. Okay, Liz, you've been living this for a long time. I'm a recent convert. I really don't know what they ought to be, and that's why I make that suggestion. And I guess as it ends up, I'm making the suggestion for myself. So we won't have that as a committee assignment. I will be looking for material to inform myself
Right.
regarding what the rights ought to be, because you guys already know what they are. Or we could just have a session
Really?
where you could tell me what they are. I wouldn't have to go look. Yeah, Bill.
The rights are what they are. It's a question of what you want to say about them. One of the problems with using other documents as models is that they are under different constitutions and under different state laws. And the people putting the charters together have a different band of powers. Ours is far more limited than the people who, frankly, some of them floated into this whole thing with exalted ideas. And we've got to keep everybody's feet nailed to the floor. We have what we have. They are what they are. The question is, what do we do with them? This charter is a machine. It's not a dream, but we need to make people have the right attitude when they use that machine. That's the job of the preface. And I have to say, I'm like Patty. I'm not an academic. I don't have time for it.
You know what? It sounds like to me would be a good idea. And I'm just tossing this out. I haven't even thought about it until this second. It would be a good idea for Liz to write down from her experience what she considers to be the appropriate rights of nature. I am not talking about a treatise. I'm talking about the first right fits on one line. The second right fits on one line. The right to bear arms, short, a lot of interpretation down the way, but short. And then that list goes from Liz to Bill, who says, you can't do that here because you can't do that here because, and you can't do that here because, leaving these four. Oh, by the way, you forgot these. And out of that maybe comes a list. Yeah, Liz.
So I think my starting point in looking at the Bill of Rights is going to be look at the document that Bill already sent out. So I'll go
Yeah.
back.
I'll need to send it to you.
Okay, so I'm going to start looking at that right there, because where Bill and I are definitely in alignment is that what we're trying to do is cause a mind shift. That we're trying to create language that reframes our relationship to ordinances and laws that already exist,
Yes.
and the importance to live those things.
Okay.
Kevin has said this how many times. San Juan County adopted the Earth Charter back in 2003 or 2008. We have not lived by those values.
Of course. Right.
So we're looking for language that reinforces a new lifestyle that abides by laws that already exist, and then put further teeth to the implementing of those.
Bill,
Here's an example.
it's got to be short.
Here's an example though. If San Juan County made about a 2-word change in its noise ordinance, we would silence
End
the
marine life.
Salish Sea.
End marine life. Would that be the change? Or would it be?
Well, let's not go down that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Liz and Bill, do you kind of accept that assignment or job that Liz will come up with stuff and send it to Bill, and Bill will say whether he thinks
I'll-
the law allows us to do that?
I'll send you what I set out, and then we can, and
You
then
guys,
see what you think.
okay, you guys talk to each other, but that's
Yes.
basically what we're talking about. Yes, Patty.
I just want to make a comment that when this all started, I was like, Bill of Rights for Nature? What are you talking about? So it's taken me, and quickly I latched onto it and saw that maybe we could do this. But now, over time, I'm trying to understand what is possible here and what is reasonable. And I am so on the side of it.
Isn't
we
that
gotta
something
do it so it can be voted on and accepted by
that
the.
happened to me too, Patty? That happened to me.
And I think that's the very point of that all of us San Juanians, whatever that is, we are at a tipping point, and the evolution of thinking is just popping. And people can, like, if we have talked about this 5 years ago, you would still be going, I don't think so. But now the perspective, the impetus, the things that have happened to us in life are now strong enough force that our thinking is going, oh my God,
We'll
why
see.
haven't we done
We'll
this
see, because
before?
we're gonna have a selling job also. All right. Any new business?
yeah.
If there's no new business, do we have now is the time that we are open for public comment? Any public comment? No members of the public appear to be present. All right. We have our plan for the coming week. You guys will be getting together. Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Okay, Liz, seconded. Any discussion? Not seeing any. We'll have a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
See you
All right.
Saturday.
Hey,
See you,
Bob,
talk to you. Oh, see you on Saturday. Right.
Stop the
Zoom.
recording if you would, Bob.
Oh, yes, I must do that.
And then before we
Recording
go, Bill,
and-
I want to make sure
uh,
everybody